I was looking at my comments a couple of days ago and somebody asked me about Film 9, which is a great piece of software for cleaning up Cinefilm. And I realised I hadn't actually got a tutorial about Film 9, so I'm going to give you a very quick run round Film 9. There is a little bit about Film 9 on the channel, but don't think I've done anything specifically just talking about Film 9. So that's what we'll do. So, Film 9, it's not supported any longer, it's not developed any longer, but if you go to videohelp.com and search their forum using Film 9 as your search term, you could go down a rabbit hole and find yourself being pointed at a French website where I think it's still available. That's the best I can do to help you, really. But if you've got Film 9 installed, and first time you start it, it will probably start in French. So here you can switch between English and French. It will require a restart when you change it. Let's look at the preferences quickly. There are 4 things that need to be installed alongside Film 9. Well, 3, 4 if you want to do if you want to do videotape work. But you must have the K-Lite Codex Mega Pack. So if you've got K-Lite Codecs on your system and it's not the Mega Pack, you need to uninstall that and put the Mega Pack on. You'll need AVI Synth and the Lagerith codec for audio. And if you've got those 4 green ticks, you're good to go. If you haven't got the DV codec, I think it still works without it, but you obviously won't be able to do any DV work. So the first thing we're going to do is put a clip of film into this. And for this I'm going to use an original Wolverine scan. It's one of the Mark 1 Wolverines. I bought it 5 years ago. Only did it in 720p. It's pretty rubbish, but here's the clip. And the first thing you ought to do with your clip, because I know some people are now using the Wolverine Pro, which does much better quality, high def. But either way, the first thing you want to do with your clip is have a look at its properties and find out what bit rate it is at. And we can see this one's at 14,661 kilobits per second. So it's pretty much 15 megabits per second. So you just need to hold that number in mind, and we can see there it's a 30 frames per second scan. So we'll start our project and we'll click on the gear wheel and we'll just call this project test clip. And you've got 3 options here: videotape, with synchro and without synchro. Well, if it's a Wolverine scan, it's with synchro. If you aimed a film projector at the wall and a camera at the wall, it's without synchro, and if you're doing videotape, then select videotape. But for Wolverine scan, select with synchro. I don't need to flip mine, and I want to reduce this to 18 frames per second. You can choose 18, 16, 24, 25. Obviously they're there for DV tape, videotape work. Colour or black and white. I've got colour selected. Your destination folder where you want it to go to. The video codec, well, this is an MP4 clip, so I'm going to keep it in MP4. I'm going to keep the H.264, and we can see here it's selected it at 15 megabits per second, which is pretty much what the original scan was at. If you reduce it too much, then you're going to lose quality. If you make it too high, then you're just wasting space. I get away with 10 megabits. Some stuff I do at 5 megabits, but we'll leave it at 15 megabits per second. We've got no audio, so we'll choose silent. And I choose desired dimensions as 1440 by 1080 because that's how I want it to be. So that's the preferences for the project setup. And I'm now going to right click and add a clip. In fact, I didn't right click. Let's put that one in. And that will open Virtual Dub in the background. So we've got our test clip in now. I don't want double screen, so there we are. So there's my test clip, and what I really want to do to this clip is try and sort out the colour a little bit. As you can see, it's very yellow, it's filmed under fluorescent lighting, and try and remove some of that grain. And all I'm going to use for this are a couple of simple settings. I'm going to go to colour balance. No, I'm not. I'm going to exit colour balance and turn that off. I'm going to go to colours base and choose auto white but not auto gain. I don't like auto gain on this. And then I am going to select degrain, and I'm going to do a double action degrain at 50%. I don't want to start too strong. I'm going to leave everything else, and then I'm going to send that clip to process. And what will happen is once I click Start Render, it'll open VirtualDub and it will write an uncompressed version of that clip. And depending on the size of your clip, that can run into very many gigabytes, 60, 70 gigabytes if it's a 400-foot reel of film. This is only a little tiny clip. So it'll open VirtualDub first, it'll write the uncompressed version of it, VirtualDub will close, then it will reopen VirtualDub and it will do its filtering and what have you work from that clip that it just generated. So there's this. Let's start the render, and we can see here now that it's going to write an uncompressed version, and this is looking like it's going to be a gigabyte for a very short clip. So that gives you an idea of how much storage space you're going to need. Once it's done that, VirtualDub will close and it will reopen, and then it will start doing the processing. Here it comes again, and now it will process. And depending on the power and speed of your computer, will depend on how long this takes. I'm running a Asus ZenBook Pro 16X with a RTX 4080 graphics card, 32GB of RAM, and a 13th gen Intel i9 processor. So it's pretty quick. You can hear the fans kicking in probably. I'm currently in Malaysia, where the ambient temperature here is 32 degrees anyway, so I've got my fan set on my laptop just to keep it cool and run like a vacuum cleaner, so that's why you're hearing the fan. If you haven't got the same specs I have, then obviously this processing is going to take an awful lot longer. I used to run it on a Fujitsu i5 without a dedicated graphics card, and it took a long time to write and filter and do what it had to do, but that's just something you have to live with. I'm fortunate now I've got a decent spec laptop, so we can see this is very nearly done. And there we are, job done. So process complete. I can now look here at my treated clips, and here it is. So let's look at the treated clip that I just threw into AVI into Film9, and there's the original clip. And that's just a very quick test. I think there's a huge improvement in that. But again, you can do more processing on it. You can use sharpen, you can do colouring. We'll just do one more example of this. I'll give you one more example. So let's go back to this test clip, and I'm going to do interpolation. And for this one, I'm going to choose 50 frames per second, and I want it smooth. And we'll send that off to processing by right-clicking, choose to process, and we'll start the render. And it's telling me that I'm going to overwrite the old one, or do I want to keep the old one and rename the new one. So I'm going to rename and do next, and we'll go through the same process again, where it will write an uncompressed version. I wish there was a way not for it to do that, because once you've written an uncompressed version of a reel, you don't need to keep rewriting it. But there we are, that's just how it is. So it'll do that, and then it'll close VirtualDub, reopen it, and do the processing. You'll see a slight difference this time where we've used the interpolation. If you're working with sound content, just bear in mind that Film9 defaults to mono when you start the program. So if you're working with sound and it's stereo content, you need to go into the sound settings and make it stereo. And if you're processing sound content, it'll write an uncompressed version of the audio track first, then it'll do the uncompressed version of the video, and then it'll do the filtering. And so you'll see a slight change when you work with sound content, that it does an extra process along the way. So while that's doing, I'm just going to thank you as always for watching Super 8 Rescue. I can't believe I've got over 3,000 subscribers. I mean, that's just phenomenal. So thank you so much if you're still watching Super 8 Rescue. I haven't got any new content to edit and to add to the channel, but I do occasionally do the odd music edit when I've had a few too many beers. You've probably gathered I've retired and left the UK, and I'm currently in southern Thailand for a month in a very smart, posh rental apartment. But heading back to Penang in a couple of weeks' time, which is lovely. I love being in Penang because I get to drive a car there. I don't drive in Thailand, so But it's lovely up here, the weather's nice. We did feel the earthquake. That happened in Myanmar very briefly, although we're 1,000 miles away from it. Our building was swaying. I'm on the 27th floor. But there we are. Right, that's done. So let's have another look at that one, and you'll see a slight difference, because some people like that really shiny look to their cine film, and I don't. But that's what the interpolation does to it. It just makes it look sort of, I don't know, almost video-like. I've done it on several clips, and then the colour on that's still not right, but you can see where it's going. A bit more processing. I'd probably do the colour work first in something like DaVinci Resolve, and then do the grain, maybe in Film 9 or whatever. But you can see this version now with the interpolation's got a sort of a video look to it. I don't know why people like that, because that's not what cine film should look like, but hey, if you like it. I mean, I've used it, like I say, on 1 or 2 clips. Make it look a bit shiny. But there we are. That's a pretty brief tour around Film 9. You can then take that test clip and delete it. You can have more than one test clip. You could add another test clip and a different test clip. Let's just have a look at the audio. Let's just take this clip and come back and find Film 9. And if I click on audio, it's because I've chosen silent, so I can't open that. But you click on audio and then choose stereo if that's applicable. Other things, you can use the stabilization. Cleaning's quite good. It'll remove hairs and what have you, and blotches off the content. I never use any of the tools down here. Basically, I'm just using colours based, degrain, interpolation. Sometimes I'll use cleaning, but yeah, that's about it. So that's Film 9. If you can find it, you'll be very lucky to find it. But as I say, videohelp.com, and you'll end up going down a rabbit hole and ending up at some French website, I think, where you can still get a hold of it. So if you have any problems, let me know, and I'll see what I can do to help.